pointers placed, but no size at all. 2 points define a line we call. 3 points apart, not all in one row. Define a plane where 2 directions go. Length and width, no height in the plane. Start with the basics, make the meaning plain. Before you bend space mathematically, show me the geometry. Height needs a baseline, distance needs a line. Angles need a reference before you call them defined. Measured flat, show me the geometry. Height from a planar baseline, that's how we measure what we see. Measured flat, distance laid out linearly. Elevation from eye level, coplanar horizontally. Measured flat, don't bury any complexity. If you say the ground is curved, show me the geometry. Height goes up from a level plane, vertical from baseline, that's the measuring frame. Distance runs linear from point to point along the plane where the measures join. Elevation angle starts from level side, eye line horizontal reference right. Angle above or angle below the plane is where the measurements grow. Point, line, plane, baseline first, then make your claim. Height, distance, elevation angle. What was the reference before you change the label? Sphere, saddle, curvature on the page, find us out. Show the measurement that puts the curve in place. Measured flat. Measured flat. Measured flat. Show me the geometry. Height from a planar baseline. Distance measured linearly. Measured flat. Eye level coplanarily. Don't give me mathematical language. Give me physical geometry. Measured flat. Point, line, plane, reality. If the model claims the ground is curved, show me the geometry. Baseline, distance, elevation. Measure first, model second. Measured flat. Measured flat.
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange. Let me ask you a question. You never really remember the beginning of a dream, do you? You always wind up right in the middle of what's going on.
I guess, yeah.
So how did we end up here?
Well, we just came from the,
Think about it, Ariadne. How did you get here? Where are you right now?
we're dreaming.
You're actually in the middle of the workshop right now, sleeping. This is your first lesson in shared dreaming. Stay calm.
Welcome to the Real Flat Earth Friday, and if the clock says after midnight and the calendar says it's the 8th, you can already wish Ron a happy birthday. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here tonight. Yeah, we've got some Flat Earth content to cover.
Ooh, finally something. I mean, it's been such a dead span of like really nothing to cover, but Flat Earth is making a resurgence. What do you think?
Yeah, a little resurgence, I guess. Definitely people are, the debate is still happening.
Still happening. And we are going to cover it as we have been all along. It's almost 10 years now, everybody, that my channel, I've been covering Flat Earth. Ron, you've been at it longer. So we're going to be going through Nathan Oakley, which is actually one of the few guys that have time on me, but you were working with him before we had met, right?
Yeah. Out of all the people from the first wave, 2015, of all the people that were in the groups and, looking at things and chatting and trying to figure things out, I didn't expect Nathan to be the one that would almost last the longest and continue to refine his argument and debate tactics and level up his game, each and every step of the way alongside of us. Now, I'm not endorsing everything that Nathan does by any stretch, but it is impressive that he's got a new book out and it's fairly cheap. What do you say about the book?
Yeah, well, we've got some common ground, and we're going to touch on the book later, and people are going to be shocked that we're not here to cut up Nathan Oakley tonight. We are actually going to give him praise. In fact, we bought the book today. Now, we haven't read the whole thing, and this isn't like to dissect and review it. But he has said that he would come on. He wants to promote and endorse his book, and we're fine with that. The issue we have is when people promote false models, and Nathan has stayed away from promoting false models to the most degree, and he's focused on, well, the linguistics, the actual vocabulary of how things are measured, and it's all measured flat. It all comes from one consistent baseline, right?
Yeah, so I remember like back in 2015, some of the first presentations that I created and put together was basically demonstrating the circle of sight from a planar view. And Nathan has eloquently put it that if you believe that you're on a sphere, you actually have to cut the sphere in half, put a plane in the center of it, put the observer there, and then project a protractor around the observer, and then you're inside. So anyone that believes they're a globe earther or glurfer actually believes that they live on a flat plane inside of a sphere with a protractor around them for their azimuths altitudes.
I do have that graphic to share as well tonight. That will be one that we'll be putting on the screen, showing everybody, so we'll be able to point out exactly what Ron was talking about. I guess I'm going to jump into the screen share so that we can put some visuals up on the screen. Following these characters that call themselves flat earthers, the vast majority of them, they promote that single pole pressurized pizza dome, the AE map and model. And, that's where we separated ourselves from these characters like 10 years ago. And, we've tracked everybody. And now Jake is somebody that has made a switch. He's going to be a part of this conversation. But what we have on the screen right now is the big dog, probably the name that's most recognized. He gets his name shared by characters like Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and all these characters. Who am I talking about, Ron? That would be
Your
Eric Dubay.
Yeah. Go on, continue.
Yeah, I've got the cards that you made up on screen now. And the first card that we have is Eric Dubay. When you made this, he had 217,000 subscribers. I think it's like 240 now. This isn't his first channel. It was taken down. But let's talk a little bit about Eric Dubay and the role that he plays in Flat Earth.
Yeah, he's got a very large role. He was one of the original content creators. It says here he became a leading flat earther by reading books by Samuel R.B. Robotham and doing yoga. Eric denies the Southern Star Trail constellation, so I can stop there. One of the first things I did when I realized that these observations couldn't be, expressed with a circling sun was reach out to Eric, and try to talk to him about it. No response, nothing, not even a comment, ever an acknowledgement, ever from Eric Dubay. And I made many videos ramping up the amount of pressure and the type of content that I wanted to show everybody. Still no response to Eric. And then, so he denies the Southern Star rotation. And we had that. Was it Kofu 72 who he had like a battle with? And
Yeah.
Kofu filmed it and showed him where the celestial South Pole is. And this guy, everybody. And Eric just denies it, and he'll come up with some misdirection every time you actually pin him down to something. Like, oh, the sunset rise angles. Oh, the fact that they're, be circling the wrong way for the AE map. Eric will say, well, you haven't really taken into account magnetic declination. He'll use...
We have a slide to show that as well.
And you'll see throughout the entire night that people that are trying to obfuscate, hide, deny, or, mislead people with false information, they create narratives or imaginations in your mind that aren't actual part of reality. They create non-realities. And then they say, well, here's the math for that non-reality. They try to prove it that way. We're going to be showing extensive ways that it's such a simple sleight, magical math. What do we call it? Magic math or?
Mathemagic?
Mathemagic. This is what they use, these characters. But Eric, he just argues that the Earth is the single pole pressurized pizza dome. He lost his main channel. If anybody wasn't watching, he started promoting that the character on the screen there was good, right? Not seeing the complete connections to the Jesuits and the Pope, and the fact that he was just doing what he was told. And the whole vegan thing, Jay, what do you say about that?
Yeah, him and Pat Steer, they were influential and trying to turn a lot of would-be truthers waking up to a shocking revelation that Earth's not a spinning space ball. They tried to weaken people with the whole vegan thing. So without the protein, people's health deteriorates. And we've been able to track through YouTube. There was this whole vegan wave that so many of the YouTubers that were celebrities in this topic, they've renounced their ways. They said how sick they got and how weak they got, and they've changed course, and that really has died off. You don't hear a whole lot about it anymore.
Yeah, no, of course there's always the parallels. There's always so many heads to the Hydra when they have these different types of agendas. Then you get the all raw meat, right? Then you get the all raw vegetable group. And really people are definitely, especially with the help of AI, they're able to actually find the correct lifestyle choices when it comes to food now a lot easier. And, speaking of the whole thing, can you enlarge the card just before we move on to the next card?
What part do you want to?
Just scroll through it slowly from top to bottom, or enlarge. So, basically his non-ability to go on to a live stream, Eric Dubay, he records some of his calls with some of his friends and posts that as evidence that he's not AI. Of course, he's not AI. But what Eric doesn't do is he doesn't live stream. He's been on a few in the past, but it's not a regular thing from him. And that's what Jake, the asshole, or what is he now? He stole the name Jake. Now he's the
Jake
awake.
the awake. Get out of here.
Yeah, so he's going to point at that inconsistency. Oh, and then Eric will point to some of Jake's inconsistencies. And really, it was something that Jason and I pretty much said exactly would happen. The reason that Jake, the asshole, turned on the AE map crew was so that he could obfuscate and hide the truths and the things that we were talking about, right? He took our talking points. Go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm just going to say that, we have the evidence to back up what we're saying, and we'll be sharing the timestamps, the images that show the evidence of what we're saying. Just like this card right here, we've been tracking these characters. We're showing the networks that they operate within, who they're pro, who they're against, right?
Yeah, we've been making flowcharts and tracking them for years and seeing what their agendas are, right? And it's clearly, if you search on Jason's channel, you'll find videos called Disinformation Agents. You'll find you'll find most characters in the flat Earth versus globe Earth debate categorized there. And you can watch the information of all the timestamps. But it's incredible to see how the disinformation agents work, how they're working today, and that they're still here. One side note to make is that I guess Jeranism, he quit, right?
He's stopped doing even the pro globe content, so he seems to be done.
Yeah, he's probably just excuse me, hit the mic there. Maybe he's just living his life.
Yeah, well, I don't think he could hack it. The fact that He went from being this super recognized guy all around the world, that he was a flat earther that comes out and says that he was wrong, and now he's going back to the globe. And yeah, he had that moment of fame, and then boom, his views, everything crashed, and the guy's like one of the most egotistical pieces of crap I've ever come across. And obviously his ego couldn't handle it. So
Yeah.
let's you've got another card here, and this one is titled Jake the Asshole, because that's what he was when we first started. Well, it was Flat Earth Asshole actually originally, and then he switched it up. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this character Jake, who is probably one of the most covered shills on our channel?
Yeah, it's very interesting that you know, and also predicted that he would be back again. A-hole Jake, right? So he's flip-flopped, was a part of the main group, back and forth. Some of the things, if you slide over to the networks, you can see, and you can see that he's not with QNFE. So
Yeah, he's changed on that one. Lost his only alliance that he had.
yeah, that was Q. He's got his channel and his subscribers, right? He believes in special magical flat earth. He was in a special category. He was pro AE map, then against it, then pro again, and now against it again. Right? If anyone was paying attention, Q was defending it. So Jake then defended the AE map again and said he fixed it, but now it's broken again. He's definitely into the wrestling, rigged NFL, drugs. His anti list is similar to Eric Dubay's, except for the whole AE flat earth map, but you can see he's pro and against it. You'll find that thread with this character. He traveled the whole entire country on like a flat earth tour.
Yeah, like slept his way across the country.
We could get into all the different you know, TMZ nonsense if you really want, but he just went around, took donations from people, just did a tour, right? Saying he was just a flat earth asshole with all the main flat earth people, flipped against them, started exposing it, got the information from Jason and I, which is great. We want people to share that information. But then he started saying things like Earth was a simulation and this and that. And then he takes things that we say like a disinformation agent, and they twist, manipulate, and flip and spin just one part of it so that your entire argument can be sort of debunked publicly by some, you know, jester, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah. COINTEL plant, straw man. You just pick the most crazy, retarded guy and put him up front, and you know, give him the script where he gets to explain that, yeah, the AE map model is wrong, but makes himself so totally discreditable that Eric Dubay took advantage of the situation and is now throwing Jake the Asshole under the bus. So we'll be getting into that video. There's one more character that's coming up tonight that you made a card for, and this is on the opposition side. So Spinning Spaceballer, would you like to tell us about this McToon character?
McToon. So he just showed up on the scene, started debunking the AE map, which we already were doing, right? We were doing it, and he was given this channel, Conspiracy Tunes. Somebody that was you know, pro glurfer gave him his channel. Just here you go, handed it over to him. I can't remember how many subscribers it had at the time. But again, you can see it's an older channel. If you scroll down, you can read the information. You got his pros on there. And so these cards were a set of cards just documenting all the different people involved with the topic of basically the nature of reality. And so here we got the summary. He showed up late, really late to the debate. 2018, you could almost say that was when the mainstream media completely started to bury flat earth. It started happening in 2016, right? Until 2016, you could easily get 10 to 100,000 views per video per content. So he showed up at the downfall of flat Earth, sort of when the mainstream media and the government said they were going to start combating disinformation and, flat Earth. Here come McToon or whatever his Michael Toon. He's a bold-faced liar. Everything that he says and does is a complete lie, made up imaginations. He never actually even challenges his belief, ever, and won't. He spends the majority of his videos covering Witsit, right? And most importantly, all of a sudden, he was then taken to a Christian church, Will Duffy, and he then lectured and gave sermons on how the earth works and how that it doesn't work. And he won't basically answer or debate any of that because he says it's all people's opinions.
Yeah, I would say as far as globe earth shills are concerned, I would say he's probably the most lead prominent shill there is. He got himself in the documentary, the final experiment thing. So he's set up to be the scientist guy for the globe earth, the face of it all. You won't have guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson, addressing something like this so specifically. So he's the lead role for the globe shills, and he's still around talking about flat Earth, and we'll be getting into some stupid thing that he said recently, geometry wise, because he's such a damage control agent that they've got him activated against Nathan Oakley now, who was out there explaining how Earth is measured flat.
Well, so he was activated on the Antarctic trip, and it was where are the guns, Nathan? They made this whole giant thing that Nathan said if you try to go down there, the ships with guns will point them at you, to paraphrase. And which there have been stories that people have said these types of things, but that doesn't prove that the Earth is a sphere or flat if you can't search a certain area. But yeah, so this character here is one of the worst. The last interaction we had with them, I challenged him to another debate. After the debate that they backed out, him and MC Toon or Craig, what's his name, fight for the flat Earth. They backed out of a debate. They didn't want to accept the actual challenge of going over the final experiment's evidence, right? They didn't want to debate. And then again, with reciprocal zenith angles, I then challenged MC Toon again. I guess I'll just have to go on his channel sometime. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and cover this Eric Dubay versus Jake the Awake. And we're gonna give it from our perspective, where we've been out there, we've been active on this topic the whole time before Jake was, and we'll give our perspective on what is taking place. And so let's go ahead and sort of jump into the video a little bit. Amazingly enough, how these guys do it, it's close to the 3:33 mark. But let's start cutting this up, brother. Stop me anytime you want.
Bounded by a solid vault of the sky, within which the sun, moon, and stars all revolve.
And he's still pushing that wrong debunk shit. Literally, still pushing this. This is not what it is. This is provably wrong. I'll prove this wrong tonight again. I've proven this wrong 100 times or more. This circling sun and moon shit is impossible. Like, I can literally debunk it right now in front of everyone's face. Okay, if this model was true, you would be able to see the dark side of the moon. But nobody can. You can only...
All right, so we have Jake coming out saying that the single pole pressurized pizza dome does not work, and he is directly taking proofs that we had long before he came along. And I want to back up what I'm talking about. And so here we have part 2, sunrise set angles, destroy flat earth AE model, Jeranism exposed, scam artist, Jesuit shill. And this was published October 14th, 2017. All right. If we scroll down here, we are going to find Jake the Awake. All right. So when he changes his channel name, it changes across YouTube. This is his channel with the 92,000 subscribers. And he says here, I agree the AE map is bunk, and I just said so on my Facebook page a few days ago. Jaron immediately showed up and defended the map and made false statements about me. Needless to say, we exchanged words and I am done with him. Would you mind if I used a few clips from this video so I can dismantle the AE map on my channel? All right, so he had just come out a few days ago. This right here is October 14th, 2017. And I mean, it was 2016 when both you and I had already fully debunked the AE map and model, and we're going against Jaron. Right? We had our Beyond Flat Earth channel. The reason why we met each other was because we had both debunked the one pole circling sun model. And so this is April 12th, 2017, where we're already out here showing two pole models.
Stereographic projections.
Yeah. And so we've learned a lot since then, and we know way more than we did when we first put it out. But just to show you, we had already fully rejected the fact that Earth could only have a single pole. And we were showing everybody it has to be stereographic. Right? Because there are two poles. There's a southern celestial rotation. Let's go back to the video here and let's go ahead and jump up to how Eric starts rebuttaling all this. Let's go about 14 minutes in.
Well, you could quickly show too the diagram of how the moon works.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, watch this. So we ponder and try to think of things all the time, especially with the luminaries, because Jason and I believe that we're in a programmed virtual reality, and the two-dimensional properties of the sun and the moon and the luminaries are very fascinating when we actually take a look at the sky.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many things. If you actually sit down and do the 3D modeling, that's what I did right here, and you can see that by putting a compass on here all the way around, you can see that the sun would always be rising from north of east and setting north of west everywhere on Earth, right? You know, we have equinoxes where it rises due east and due west. So this type of model is absolutely wrong. Now, the moon thing we've been talking about for so long is that if you have a moon going around here up above, that you would see every part of the moon except for the top, right? You would see all the way around it. You would see the bottom side. The only thing you wouldn't be able to see is the top side. Yet we only see one face of the moon. So check this out. I want to talk about the reason I made the moon the way I did. One of the facts that nobody is able to disagree with is that we only see one side of the moon. Both the north and the south see the exact same face of the moon, just inverted one from the other. That is the reason I went with a 2D picture of a full moon. I have a right side up picture and one flip vertically stacked together, so the observations from within the model will match what we observe in reality. There is no 3D model of a moon that could possibly be accurate, because no one has ever seen the backside of the moon. I spun a copy 90 degrees so that we could not only see the moon from the north and south, but also the east and west. I thought about just making the sun a sphere because my first inclination was that the sun did not have any defining marks worthy of consideration. But on second thought, I realized that sunspots are also proof of a 2D sun. So I made it the same way as I made the moon. I will show you the proof of what I am talking about in just a little bit. There is one more thing I want to point out. While we understand that the sun travels...
Get a pause.
Yeah.
Just something interesting to point out, though. Tracking the spots on the sun is a very interesting thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Between the tropics and the
That's-
You get to the point.
Get to the point.
The moon 90
Yeah.
degrees west of Phuket looks like this. This gives us our sun and moon being 180 degrees from each other, where the sun is rising and the moon setting. So here is where we're going to begin listing an extensive list of Freemason New World Order AE map and model debunks. First, if the sun has to be at solar noon out in the Pacific by Fiji,
That's
There's a lot in this video. We could break it down for like 20 hours of content.
because he would be seeing the moon from a side angle. The Freemason New World Order AE map and model offers the paradox of paradoxes, because the only place you could possibly see a full moon is if you are north of the moon's path. The only problem with that,
there's just a whole list of flaws
So
coming
many
out right here.
though, is that we know that at full moon, the sun is setting and the moon rising, or the sun rising and the moon setting, meaning that the sun and moon are set 180 degrees to each other, with your longitude being the 90-degree mark, so you see a full moon. This paradox deserves Hall of Fame trophies for all Freemason New World Order AE map and model shills for having the cojones to share such a debunkable model, and will go down as fake flat earth psyop
Yeah, so there's all the eclipses, all that kind of stuff. And then absolutely the fact that as this went around, you'd be able to see all the different sides of it, except for the top.
It's incredible how
moon
many debunks we actually have gone through. We've like, and you could wonder, why is it that we didn't get forced to the top of the algorithms? Because we were the ones that were dismantling the flat Earth long before anybody else, way before McToon, right? We were the ones out there being ostracized, shadow banned, kicked out, and here we are today, and still, again, the exact same things are taking place today.
Yeah. All right. So here's the Eric Dubay part where he starts whining about Jake.
And
Right.
certain
Which
things.
is like
One
insane.
more thing about this. The setup to this is so originally when Jake was, ascending to be this top fake flat earther, when he was on team.
Well, he said
Mark-
he said he infiltrated to become the top.
after when he finally admitted that he was in the group. First he denied being in the group when I called him on it. Then he said he infiltrated the group. He was in it, but he was just infiltrating it. So what you first had was when he was ascending in that group, Eric Dubay did a hit piece video about Mark and Patricia and Jake the asshole. Eric promoted him, platformed him. These shills only cover each other, right? We barely ever had our names ever said by any of these channels because nobody would want to actually have another possible version of reality. And so you've got Eric, who platformed Jake in the beginning, did a video, dressed up, tried to be an asshole, tried to impersonate him. Jake, who is an impersonator, who's admitted, right, that he channels his impersonation. So both Eric and Jake have a lot of similarities.
Right. And so just
What's funny is so Jake's cutting up Eric for not live streaming and being on video to prove he's a real guy. And Eric's video going against Jake the Awake, he does it with no video.
Yeah.
It's just a nameless, faceless audio with some other guy.
so there's one observation allegedly in our if you knew the timeline of me and him going from similar to you, where it's just like, oh, here's another guy who's doing flat earth on YouTube. I'm gonna reach out, leave nice comments. I left nice comments on all his videos. He would write back nice comments. No, we were fine until this one thing apparently
So,
just
pause it.
Oh, Eric.
So here's the problem, and this is a definite tendency that you see with people who are self-absorbed, narcissistic. I could come up with all these, psychological profiling terms. I could throw them at you all day long. Instant denial. So the reason why, Eric, that people are calling you out is because when somebody understands something, figures it out, and then shows you, and you then continue to deny that fact and come up with some makeshift flawed answer, just like Jaron did. We were able to see, hey, Jaron's going to be the one that supposedly proves the Earth is a globe. We saw that, 5 years before he literally did it. And you can see the same thing that happens with Eric Dubay. He clearly knows the information that he's pushing is disinformation. He cherry picks certain things, and then he just twists, inverts, and flips around. We're not even going to cover how his model that he's been teaching with the single pole actually has to have an underside to it, like a coin.
Yep. Heads and tails, Earth.
And it's in his documents. It's actually covered. Is it Lady Blout or, it's one of the characters that he reads, and constantly they get to the part of the section of the book. So you're on a plane, and there are two places in the sky where the sky rotates around those two places. You can go one in the north and one in the south on the flat
Deal
land.
with it, right?
Yeah, on the flat land.
It.
And when they try to map it out with a circling sun and model, you actually have to have a coin Earth where the sun would have to go on the other side and circle around that point as well. But anyways, we're not even going to be able to get to all of the different information.
Here's the big thing Eric has a problem with.
Eric doesn't accept this thing I think about the sun that is now
right.
And so ever since then, he's the one that changed.
Eric calls it this thing I think about the sun. We're talking about the sunrise sunset angles being impossible with the model Eric's talking about.
And so now I'm wrong. Everything I've said about flat Earth means nothing because he found this one.
Yeah, so you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because everything that you have to say about Earth being fixed, stationary, all those things are great. They debunk the Earth's a spinning space ball in outer space. If you just ended right there, everything would be all right. It's when you start promoting a model that everybody can come along and say, no, that doesn't work, that it's no longer okay, right?
Yeah, well, what they did was the thesis that we came up with is that they started the movement, right? And then started it with easily discreditable and debunkable information. This is, again, the dissertation of the disinformation agent. And what they do is misinform people that go around spreading false information. And then they come out with the character who has the information that refutes, debunks, and demoralizes the opponent. And that was the circling single pole pressurized pizza dome model that Eric Dubay is a strong proponent of. Even Jake was, and then wasn't, then was, then wasn't. All right, so people need to understand. And behind that debate is creator of life. And they tied the AEMAP single pole pressurized pizza map model to that creator. And then they tried to debunk it all with one single swoop.
Yeah, and that's basically what we call fundamental truth number 2. If you take a look in the pinned comment, it's almost verbatim what Ron was talking about right there.
One sun observation that he says now means that the circling sun model on the flat Earth is wrong.
That's a truth or trap.
Everyone who promotes that model is a shill. That's the line he just decided to run with. And
yeah,
yes.
It's what we've been saying for like almost 10 years now.
It's been running with since like 2017, 2018, whenever he decided this. And yeah, that he'll always bring back that, Eric, circling sun. And what's his answer to it? I don't know. Oh, so because he says, I don't know, he's real, just like I go live. So
what Jake does is steals other people's information, right? He doesn't actually film the video that he's posting. He takes other people's information and then just repeats it, right? But he doesn't understand that stuff. So when he's actually held to the task of explaining, so what do the sunrise and set angles mean? Show me, plot it out, give it to me in a demonstration the way Jason does. So it was Jason's argument, basically how the celestial objects are working, combined with Enoch, mixed with some of my interpretations, that then Jake tried to obfuscate like a disinformation agent. Take one piece, take this piece, and then flip, invert it, and then have it debunked. And then Eric comes out and then gets to fluff this off. And then everybody that might have believed that Earth was a virtual reality now are back stuck on Eric's single pole pressurized pizza model.
Yeah, and he says, well, that's not possible with without multiple suns. And then he doesn't go on to explain, well, the multiple suns is a result of Earth being a virtual reality and the sky being rendered sky features to each individual person.
That's
not
right.
like there's billions of suns. There's one sun that every person sees in the sky, but relative to your position, your altitude, your angle of view. And he doesn't explain all that. He just says stuff that just sounds crazy without explanation.
I'm live right here. Hey, look at my hat. Look at my stupid hat. I'm live. I'm real. See, Eric Dubay, he's not live. Chill.
Well, and see, that's another thing. Jake absolutely looks crazy all the time. He does the whole Sampaku eyes. He
wears a jester hat.
Will just have absolute fits where he pounds himself and does crazy stuff and takes drugs live. Just everything he can to make himself look discreditable.
It was like so boring too. It was like nauseating. I got in and he was doing he was reading 2 other comments before mine, and he was just doing impressions. He was just doing like this shitty Arnold Schwarzenegger impression where he was, but it was like it was for like so long. It was like 3 minutes of him going yeah, and it's like who's finds that funny still? It's fun for like a couple seconds.
He wants to be a comedian. Like that's his. Like if he could be, that's what he'd be doing.
I
just
get that,
as well as a bassist. He likes playing bass. He doesn't want to.
So now all of a sudden, Eric's being supportive and gentle to him. He's funny guy. He's a good bassist. I don't know why he just makes such a big deal about the sun angles not working.
Yeah, and you know he's good at all those things. You know he should be doing more of those, I think, and less of what I do. You know, calling me a shill. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's just like peak retard. I think it's one of those truth or traps. You get this theory in your head, and
see, it's not peak retard though, because what Jake's calling Eric out for pushing an impossible model, that's an actual truth that Jake is being allowed to disseminate, and then Eric's just able to slough it off like this.
And it's like, oh, you don't know freaking this theory, bro? This guy's not a truther. He doesn't know shit. And they get hung up on this one little detail. He was segueing into it when I basically tuned out yesterday, where he was like, he pulled up your random video of yours. It was like the biblical cosmology one. And he was like, and this model, this rotating model. He's like,
so the biblical cosmology connection, that's the way the Freemasons have tried to connect the impossible single pole model to the Bible. They call it biblical cosmology, the impossible one, right?
And it doesn't match what the scriptures say.
Oh.
He's like, I've debunked this like 1,000 times. Like, shit. I was like, what are you talking about, man? In terms of like, yeah, you can debunk a model and stuff, but there's literally just so much we don't know. We can't get a good look of what.
Oh, now it's we don't know. We've hundreds and hundreds of different ways shown just how ridiculous it is to think that the sun is up doing horizontal circles above Earth. That's just crazy. It's debunked.
What it's like from outside, like we can only discern from here. And as long as you're on the side of like they lied to us, and you're not trying to push kind of harmful like FEIC shit.
So he's trying to slough it off like, oh, you could be totally wrong with this model, but as long as you're against the globe. No, they've got you in their controlled op narrative if they've sucked you in on something that's not true.
You're just like boosting Jared, and you're like, yeah, Jared's my friend, man. We go way back, bro. Like I would never talk about it. Like as long as your takes aren't that retarded, that's sad though. Not sad, I guess. He doesn't seem like a very like, I don't know. He kind of seems like a bit of a douche. I watched like one of his videos where it was way back when he was like in some kind of like backyard patio like restaurant, just like being an obnoxious flat earther to people, and everyone was like kind of tolerating him or whatever, but there was just this vibe of like, why are you here? And he was like, I don't know, he was like talking about like he just wasn't defending it very well or something, but I guess he was like maybe more of a novice at the time, and he was just excited to discuss the idea. It was still like entertaining, but the way I felt he was representing flat Earth, I was like, you're never going to convince people. You're never even going to really, you're just kind of being too aggro, you know? Which is like funny for me to say, considering like my content is kind of like in your face to some of.
So the guy that's super aggro is calling him out, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's not Jake's story, right? He came onto the scene, said that his goal was to, target the youth, right? And creepily went through his flat Earth happenings and turned into a drug-taking jester that basically, has stolen every fad, every topic, everything that he's ever done. He does the least amount of work possible to put out his content. If you click on the link inside the chat, Jason, and you can see this if you want to end the section yet, there's a link that I put in there that to your channel, to the video, where it shows a little bit about who Jake the Asshole actually is. As far as for Eric Dubay, so he's going to continue to read Robotham and to, talk about the flat Earth proofs. A lot of those proofs are good too. So again, you've got to hold fast to that which is true and stay away from and let go of anything that's false or a lie. And that goes for Eric, that goes for Jake, that goes for any channel that you're going to watch, right? So the entire movement was created and infiltrated and is run by people who are trying to obfuscate and hide the fact that you're in a supernatural biblical virtual reality. And the way they're doing it is through disinformation agents, right? And Jake the Asshole came on the scene with Math Boyland, Math Powerland, another, Jesuit trained actor, right?
All right. I'm going to hit play here.
On Jiren.
Me and Jiren are never going to meet, and we're never going to fight.
I will never lay a finger on Jiren. I'm just going to do exactly what I'm doing now because it's fun.
And I make a living doing this.
Misinformation. You'll have agents deforming it through the disinformation process.
And I make a living doing this.
People want to understand form of something, form of a thought. Let's say a thought is a form, a thought form. But how do you know when a form
is a deformation?
The process of making you think a deformation is information is disinformation.
Then you become misinformed.
Misinformation. A lot of people don't know that, but they're misinformed because there's disinformation going on against the real form.
It's been going on for a long time.
Now, when a movement begins the reformation process of the actual form.
It's happening again.
And transmit the new form through the information process or the reinformation or the in-reformation process or the reformation process of the actual form. Once again, you'll have agents
deforming it through the disinformation.
So you are misinformed. Once you've been disinformed and you think you're armed with information and you go out speaking, you'll come up against the other argument, the argument of control. Let's say globalism and flat Earth as an example. Because through this entire campaign, I've now proven my thesis on disinformation agents, the disinformation mechanics, the process. This is how disinformation works.
That's how we can do it.
Revelation of the method.
Hey, wait a minute.
knows.
People think the Earth is a ball because they got pictures that glue together an equation from priests that work at the Vatican.
You're turned on by the idea.
People think the Earth is a ball because they got pictures that glue together an equation from priests that work at the Vatican. What happens now is they activate the disinformation campaign. This is how it works. What they'll do is they'll set up other flat Earth theorists or pseudo-revolutionaries.
Conscious or unconscious?
Who might be a little religious, might be a zealot, upset with society,
Pause it.
doesn't like global.
Just to expand on conscious, unconscious. Basically, you know, paid and then not paid, possessed or not possessed. There is a wide range of how people interact and engage in the art of disinformation.
Absolutely. He's going to go on to explain that they put these characters in place. Well, let's let him say.
And then they adhere to this theorem. Then there's the conscious ones that are paid through the CIA.
Or they swore oaths to secret societies. And eternal life is the skin in the game for these people.
And other counterintelligence agencies. And their job is to set up a channel, set up a platform, create a group, a blog, whatever, and then attract. They'll take half of what you say, which is palpable, half of it, point at the exact same flaws that we see in globalism and NASA and the lunar landing, all of that. Then they'll adhere
Or twist or invert one thing.
So your whole theory looks ridiculous.
That's how Jake says that, you know, so he'll say there's not one circling sun, but then you've got the final experiment that literally filmed one circling sun.
Exactly.
So he's easily debunked. And then he'll flip it and then say that there's like infinite amount of suns.
Absolutely. Is there anything more? Let's go ahead and hear a little bit of Eric in his video before we get to what Jake said afterwards.
For these people, but
you're much more polite though. He tries to make comedy and out of most everything, and he's
his whole thing is like, I'm an asshole.
Exactly.
It's kind of a bad, like, you shouldn't, like, you're not an asshole. You can, like, anyone can be a dick about a certain topic, but you shouldn't try to make your identity of, like, here's my asshole perspective.
So here's some other guy that's trying to come in and soften it. I think we've got Eric responding maybe around.
Basically, I look at Mark Sargent, I keep tabs on everyone, including him, so whether I like your content or not, I'm probably watching at least some of it to see what's going on.
Like, you gotta see the narrative.
Well, if you're watching, Eric.
Not ours. Not ours.
No, he's not watching ours. All right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's weak to me in terms of, like, just someone starting you off as in, like, he was the guy I learned from when I started, is like, that's the biggest part, bro. He lifted the curtain, and you know, and it's like, and anything that happens after that, you think it's whatever. You got to come through that grateful lens of, like, without Eric and before Eric, I didn't know shit. I was just a guy on a globe. I was a little civilian on the globe, and it was because of his content that I was able to help break free from that, you know? So it's like,
see, this is the reasoning that gets a person caught in the truther trap, where they wake you up to one level of truth while keeping you still completely misdirected.
Heavily misinformed. with your diet, your health, your worldview. Eric is an outright creator hater, like to the harshest degree. Believes he could have done a better job creating reality, right? But he's the guy we owe our great thanks to, because supposedly he, just because he, shared something, he wasn't the first. There were so many other people before him, right?
Yeah. So Eric wakes you up to the fact that, yeah, Earth's not a spinning space ball. But what about the southern celestial rotation, Eric? What about that? I mean, that is, you look at basically any Glober's debunk video of flat Earth, and they're going to show you a single pole model and say, what about the southern rotation?
And you're done.
Yeah.
You've lost. In the eyes of the audience, you have been embarrassed and debunked.
Yeah. So, we had this flat Earth resurgence. Eric puts out a video, and now you've got Jake the Awake's response to it. And talk about egos going on. Let's catch the beginning of how he sets this whole thing up, right?
And just like that, we are back in business. We are live once again for another Wake 'em Up Wednesday. How is everybody doing out there in YouTube land? I am your host, the one and only Jake the Awake. My watch page just popped on and everything is looking clear and looking good. I got a nice...
We're going to jump ahead a little bit here. I'm trying to remember how far.
In the fact that they worship Dubay no matter what he says and does, a lot like Trump supporters. No matter what Trump says or does, the Trump supporters keep on supporting him. They worship their orange jab daddy no matter what he does and says. That's basically the same as Dubay's cult, and I'm going to prove tonight that even when you show examples of Dubay lying, contradicting himself, even when you prove him wrong over and over again, there's always going to be these nameless, faceless trolls who will show up and have his back. And so I expect there to be a lot of troll activity tonight as I debunk and destroy shill-ass Eric Dubay once again. Who's ready to have some fun tonight?
So,
right.
what is
good
Jake
show lined up for you.
offering
Here's the thing. I'm not just going to be picking on poor Eric Dubay for no reason. He actually responded to me, and he used my name and put my image on his thumbnail. So this is going to be my official response tonight to Eric Dubay's video where he talked about me and lied about me. He called his boyfriend on the phone, and they decided to gossip about me like a couple of girls. So we're going to go over that gossip video tonight. I'm going to break down every little piece of it. I'm going to show you who the real Flat Earth King is. And I'm going to make sure that by the end of this stream, it's understood and undisputed who the king of the Flat Earth content creation really is.
he doesn't...
says the guy that in 2017 comes to us and is like, yeah, I told Jaron the AE map and model doesn't work. Can I use some clips from your video so I can dismantle the AE map on my channel? Like, he was just learning something that we had been talking about for years already. Right? He wants to say he's the king.
So many funny things have happened. We've clicked on his channel and he's literally had Awake Souls' name in the search bar on his page while he was doing his content. And I
don't watch them.
Chimps out.
They ban anybody, kick them out if anybody talks about us.
Yeah, we've got so many hours covering, Jake, the dark, disgusting past that you can go and walk down that lane on Jason's channel. You just have to go back a few years. You can't miss the series that we did.
Yeah, well, if you go to my channel and you click on the search thing and just type in the word Jake, you're going to see Jake the Asshole Exposed. Jake the Asshole Exposed. Goes on at Jake the Asshole Exposed.
Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours
and years and years and years it goes back.
Yeah, we just like our passion has been documenting everything. And that's what we want to bring to the table with Eric too, with his denial of the luminaries and different things, like they saying that we see too far, right? There are so many different things.
That's not true.
And we are, more than easy guys to get along with. I don't have any problems. Eric Dubay could join us anytime, but he doesn't join anyone right? The only people that he interacts with are people that agree with him.
All right. So, yeah, I guess he does in this podcast go on to talk about how the AE mappa model does not work. It's just regurgitating things that we've been saying. He's never come up with anything new regarding a debunk of the AE mappa model. It's always been recycling things that we had been using for years and years and years.
Yeah, the sun rising south of east and setting south of west. I can remember going one-on-one with Jaron Campanella back in 2016. I believe it was 9/11.
What's this video?
But yeah, that's the demonstration. Well, this is his version of it.
Yeah.
He then occulted what I was using to debunk him. He just mocked me, but now this is how he debunks flat Earth.
This was Jaron, why I'm still an AE guy and why the square map is ridiculous. That was a jab at us. Why the square map is ridiculous.
Corners, 4 corners, right? Who would figure that? Why would you have 4 corners to your map, Jason?
Yeah, well, this is the issue, and you drew it out for him. I made videos about it. From the fall equinox to the spring equinox, south of the equator, the sun rises from south of east, comes up around the observer and sets south of west.
And another huge problem, you can just have a 2-for-1 deal here. This is how we do flat Earth. On the equinox, the sun doesn't turn left or right. It travels in a straight line around the observer. Right?
Yeah, so we've got graphics that we can share with people. This will be coming up. So this is the onion projection that we've been sharing with people, and we'll be showing everybody that we even have the magnetic declination map.
It doesn't help your case, Eric, when you say, oh, well, if the sun rises south of east and sets south of west, you have to look at the magnetic. No, when you look at the magnetic declination, it doesn't help.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we may have given enough time to this Eric and Jake, the not awake asshole.
Yeah.
They're doing their fake fighting thing with each other, just both trying to divide everybody more and more and gatekeep everybody away from the truth that Earth is a stereographic virtual reality, right?
Absolutely. There was the end. If you could go back to that video before we go into the song break, got some great songs. Shout out to the Goldsmith. Constantly just scroll a bit. There is at the end of this section, there is another part with Jake. Let's see if we get to it. It's interesting to see. Scroll past. I just want to see for sure.
And I make a living doing this. Now we're gonna go meet Math Power Lab.
Pizza Tea is Thomas. We don't even have time to get into the Pizza Tea stuff. Oh boy.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see the gay stuff, go type Jake into the search on my channel and go back and look at the stuff that we've done with him and Pizza Tea.
I was gonna do you with the camera. You were gonna kill me with the camera? Oh no, this light is already filming. It's already filming. Oh, you gotta get on it. I was gonna do you with the camera. You were gonna kill me with the camera? Oh no, this light is already filming. It's already filming. Oh, you gotta get on it.
With the gay talk.
Powerland.
All right,
he was a gay MTV actor that did gay scenes on TV, everybody.
That is true. All right, let's clean it up a little bit. Let's take a break and we'll come back and cover the dirty globe earther.
Let's go.
Am I paying a high price for a life I'm willing to die for? I look around and ask why, Lord? Do they want to turn our babies into cyborgs? Why, Lord? Why are they selling bad dreams? Internet schemes, attention span manipulation, secondhand screens, a product of Mother Earth. It's apparent Father Time isn't linear. I question, are we moving in reverse? The doomsday that's coming, they courted us. We caught in the matrix, but believe in the prophecy. Does that make me Morpheus? I understand my vantage point is probably distorted, but I still see the Lord in us. I still see God in it. Shifting my mind with it, step outside with it. De-chip, reflect, unplug, time bending.
Ever quite what it seems. Is this all a dream? Where silence masks the sound of our screams.
Yeah, electric currents in the airways. I see a people descending from heaven's staircase. Yeah, but that's what comes with all this free will. Yeah. So maybe it's really fair play. Yeah. But maybe I'm out of touch, seem like progression with humanity sometimes will leave us stuck in a rat race, running in the wheel of fortune till I feel back pain. Traded my humanity for speed, is it comforting to peel the layers back so we can really see underneath the gold-coated lifestyle? Time's ticking too fast, time bending my dial. Gotta get away for a while, I need a sabbatical. In search of perfect peace, I need to create new avenues while I keep God in it, shifting my mind with it, step outside with it, de-chip, refresh, unplug, time bending.
Nothing's ever quite what it seems. Is this all a dream? Where silence masks the sound of our
We are back. And yeah, we're gluttons for punishment. We haven't talked about Toon in a while because, well, Flat Earth had gone really silent. But now that Nathan is putting out a book on how Earth is measured flat, we've got Toon coming out trying to shame flat earthers into measuring the ground. And so we have some common topics coming up here as far as geometry is concerned. And McToon, he stepped in it. So we are going to call it out what shit he is trying to share with everybody. So let's check this out, and then we're going to step back. We're going to talk about geometry, but it's not going to be difficult, everybody. This is going to be simple common sense stuff.
On YouTube, And I'm not going to go through all of it in depth. It's way too much to go through. It's a couple hours of lecture if you want to go watch.
It's a 5-minute read on this article right here. And that's all you need. You don't need the 5 hours of lecture. So he doesn't do any backing of this up. He doesn't show any of the evidence for it. He just points at these diagrams and he's going to say some crazy stuff.
There's several YouTube videos that cover it. But the theorem is that there's two parts. And the first part is that you can, within the two-dimensional surface of an object. So the surface of a sphere is a two-dimensional surface. The surface.
Oh, and pay attention, everybody. The surface of a sphere is a two-dimensional object. Tuna is saying, listen.
Of a box is a two-dimensional surface. You can go
a box, right? That's two-dimensional, a box.
Left, right, forward, back. You can't go up and down on this.
A box has sides in 3 dimensions, an X, Y, and Z axis. That's what makes it a box. Right?
Absolutely.
Am I getting something wrong?
Yeah. So you can't have a spherical surface with any type of elevation changes in any way and then say that it's two-dimensional. Two-dimension means that it's just perfectly flat. It has no height.
Right.
You can't have a square. You can't have a sphere with no height.
But the Globers, they want to talk about the surface of an object and how the surface is flat. Now, remember, he just said that a sphere is a two-dimensional object as well. Let's go back. Check this out.
The surface of a sphere is a two-dimensional surface. The surface of a box is a two-dimensional surface. You can go left, right, forward, back. You can't go up and down on the surface. The surface of a saddle is a two-dimensional surface, and the surface of a plane is a two-dimensional surface. So
all those things are two-dimensional. Get out of here. So we got some slides that we're going to be going through tonight that should make this pretty easy for everyone. All right, we're going to be going. We need our terminology, and this is what Nathan Oakley is doing. Is he's making sure that we have standard definitions, standard terminology that means something. That can't just be co-opted and used to make it say whatever you want it to say. And so, basic geometry, everybody, here's the lesson for tonight. A point, right? These are the important terms. A point is an exact location. It has no size. Right? So we have a point, and then a line is a straight path of points that goes on forever in both directions. Right? So if you have 2 points, then you can make a line, and it's a whole bunch of points. It has no third dimension to it, right? So this is two-dimensional. A plane, and I can't quite see. How do I see this? A plane is a flat surface that goes on forever in all directions. All right, so it takes 3 points in order to create a plane. It took 2 points to make a line, but you have to have a third point that is not in the same line as the 2 other points. It has to have 3 different points. Then all of a sudden you can have a plane, which is going in all directions, right? And these 3 points right here defines the plane. So how many points are needed? A line, 2 distinct points to find a line, and 3 non-linear points to find a plane. So you can start looking at this and you can start seeing that a plane, albeit two-dimensional if you were looking at it side on or straight down from different perspectives, right? It is going to be two-dimensional, but it requires that third point in order to define it as a plane. And in order to see it, you have to have a camera view. You have to have an angle, a perspective angle, to see that you're talking about a plane as opposed to a line. So to have a two-dimensional plane, it really just looks like a line. You have to have that third dimension to be able to see the plane. And that is the same thing with a ball, a saddle, things like that. So let's take a look at the types of geometries that there can be. And there are three basic geometries. The first one they call Euclidean. And we're gonna talk about non-Euclidean in a minute, because that article that McToon just brought up is bringing up a guy that is considered like the guy behind non-Euclidean math. So for everybody, what does that mean? Well, in Euclidean geometry, you have the fifth postulate, and that is that one parallel through a point outside a line. So the way this graphic is, you're showing a plane right here, and you have a line within that plane. They have it labeled L. And if you have a point, right, remember that has no direction to it, it's just a point. The postulate is that there is only one parallel line through that point to your other line. That makes common sense, right? You can have this line on the plane be pointed any direction you want, but if you have another point that's not on the line, there is only one parallel line that will go through that point. And when you adhere to that rule, what happens is triangles, the angles all add up to 180 degrees on a plane. Right? So that gave rise to this non-Euclidean geometry where they do the math for if you're not on a plane. Right? So if you're not on a plane, you can have hyperbolic geometry. This is like the geometry of a saddle, right? You have the convex shape here where they have more than one parallel through this P point now. And the triangle angles add up to less than 180 degrees. In the elliptical spherical geometry, right? This is, they say, what Earth is as a globe. Now all of a sudden you have no parallels. There is no parallel in spherical geometry, and angles add up to more than 180 degrees. Right? So this is the type of proof that McToon is trying to use, that Earth is spherical, by trying to use spherical geometry and things like that. So we've got this broken down to just, there's three different types of geometry that can be used. This one happens to be the real one. Let's go to Cartesian 3D space and geometry. So we're graphics guys. We work in 3D video editors and 3D modelers. And Cartesian 3D space has three axes. You have an X, a Y, and a Z, and this can show any point in space. And this is how 3D modeling is actually done. It's set up on planar geometry, where there is a baseline, and then there is a perpendicular to that baseline, which is the Z-axis. And then you have a left and right and a forward and backward, which would be your X and Y. And this is how everything is mapped out in the world and works. The plane is 2D, but it sits in 3D Cartesian space. So you had McToon say that a plane is two-dimensional. Well, let's not forget that in order to see that it's a plane, you have to exist in three-dimensional space. Right? That's really important.
Very.
The only way to experience the plane is in three-dimensional space. You can't experience it two-dimensionally. The sphere. So it's curved 2D surface. Right? So you have ChatGPT saying the same type of thing that McToon is, and they're calling this a curved two-dimensional surface. What's the problem with that? Well, it's not a sphere unless if it's three-dimensional. Right? A curved 2D surface is a circle.
Circle, yeah. And you can view it from the bird's eye view, you'd actually see it. But if you actually tried to see it from a parallel view, there's no elevation to it if it's a 2D circle. So you wouldn't see anything there.
Nothing. Unless if you were looking straight top down and then you would see a circle.
The bird's eye view.
Which in that case, it's not a sphere. Right? So you have the whole issue of, if we go to the article that McToon's talking about, it uses these graphics right here. And pay attention to something that these are two-dimensional pictures of three-dimensional objects, each and every one of them. So this is a three-dimensional object. This is a three-dimensional object, and it's got the 3 points here. It's three-dimensional. Otherwise, as we've been saying, the side-on view, you would see nothing. But here, a side-on view, yes, you would see something. Here, you would see something. So they're three-dimensional. When you have McToon out here saying that they're two-dimensional, right? It's with an agenda. They want to just talk about the surface. And there's a reason why they want to just talk about the surface, because if we go to,
well, the simplified version of it is so that they can come up with mathemagic. They can come up with a version of reality, non-Euclidean, something that doesn't exist, and then try to tie it to an observation that does exist.
I want. There we go. This is the type of thing that Nathan Oakley is super focused on. And that is that the azimuth and altitude, right? These are two coordinates. This is what McToon's going to talk about. To find a position on a sphere, you can find it with just two coordinates. You don't have to have the three, the X, Y, Z, if you're talking in the altitude and azimuth coordinate system, because what we see in is a half a sphere, a hemisphere. So this observer right here is on a flat plane that has a circle of sight that is defined by an azimuth, right? Everything is set off of north or south, depending on which hemisphere you're in. That doesn't make it a globe, right? Because the observer right here is on the surface. It's not in the center of Earth, right? You can't be an observer at the center of Earth and see a star like this. The only way this works is if you're on the surface, and this is right here, a circle of sight, right? Where you can be looking in a full 360 degrees around you. And then you have a full 180 degrees of altitude, where it goes from 0 at the horizon to 90 degrees overhead to 0 at the horizon, which has no curvature, right? There is no curvature in this, even though the observer's in the center. So go ahead.
That's the key point here, is that you're not on the outside of a sphere in reality. You're actually on a flat plane, just the way that this diagram is showing. You're at the center of your field of view, which is that circle around you, because we can only see so far before the horizon meets our vanishing point. And then from that three-dimensional view that we can spin around and see that circle of sight, then depending on how high something is, it's the distance we're able to see it from, right? And you have a protractor around you. And we could say that it's spherical. So the heavens, the way that the scriptures teach, and the Book of Enoch and many other extra-canonical books, the heavens are a spherical nature, the heavens. They operate different, the way light does, the way a rainbow does, how you can never get to the end of it. There's supernatural properties built into the way that these things operate. The heavenly is merged together with the earthly, which is the flat plane of reality that the observer's on, right? Flat and stationary, right? built on water, and we can get into the depths of how you could explain being built upon nothing if you actually understand that when you create a modeling program, you first define an open space of nothing before you then turn on lights, and then after that you start to build within this space that you create with waters and all these other things that are programmed. And within this reality you have your circle of sights, and this is what everybody should be understanding is what's real. And Nathan Oakley's been pointing it out that you're not on the outside of a sphere, you're standing on the inside of one, and everything's circling around us just the way that the scriptures talked that it would.
Yeah, let's go back to our Cartesian 3D space and geometry. So the XYZ coordinate system is based off of a plane. The sphere, right? We showed everybody that the azimuth and altitude, when they show it from the center of Earth, not from the surface of Earth, because you would have all these tangents, right, that for each one of these radiuses out here, and that baseline would be changing everywhere without any changes actually being made. So you can't change your baseline and then compare it to some other location and act like you can correlate the two without minusing off whatever amount of degrees you should have taken off for it being a sphere, right? So the saddle, they say it's curved 2D surface. The globe, a curved 2D surface. That's just nonsensical. If you really sit down and think about it, the only way you could see that it's a sphere or it's a saddle is in 3 dimensions. And that's all that matters. Like, if you can't actually experience it in 3 dimensions, you can't know what it is. And so these are different types of math that evolve, and one is built off of right angles, square to planes. This one you have positive curvature. This one you have negative curvature. The math that you use is really super important. If you use the wrong one, you're going to make huge, massive mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's all intentional. So this guy behind this article that Toon's pushing, this Carl Friedrich Gauss, is the guy that really is credited for pushing non-Euclidean geometry. And that's where things get crazy, where
it's witchcraft.
Yeah. It's no longer real. It's no longer something that you can show somebody in the real, right? The thing about geometry is the fact that in order for something to exist in the real world where we're at, even though it's a virtual reality, it has to be something that can be created geometrically. When you use this type of math for a saddle or for a sphere, you're coming up with these theoretical things of having either no parallel lines in your world, right? Imagine a world where there are no parallel lines. Well, that's the world of spherical geometry. Or in the case of if Earth's convex or a saddle, then you have multiple parallel lines.
Parallel.
Right? Multiple parallel lines, even though we know that that's not possible. Let's go back to our basic geometry one more time so everybody can see that the one parallel through point P outside of a line. If you got a line, you have a point, there's only one parallel line to this line in reality. But in the hyperbolic geometry, there's more than one parallel line through that point. And in the non-Euclidean or spherical geometry, you have no parallel lines here. All right. So is there anything that stands out to you as far as this geometry is concerned?
Yeah. Well, again, I just want to state that if you take Euclidean geometry for the physicality of the virtual reality that we live on and experience, flatland. We're all flatlanders. And then the spherical geometry, then you apply that to the heavens, and then you link the coordinates to a coordinate map of the flat plane with four corners. You can represent the way that Earth works on a snapshot. But the caveat to that is the way that this reality works is that everything is only actually rendered correctly when it's on a local scale. That's why there's no full picture of Earth from space. That's why, everybody says and can explain that they can only experience things on the actual local. I think the highest we can fly, you can only see 65 miles. That's our cap.
Yes.
Okay.
If we go ahead.
So to represent reality and to have us physically traveling through the virtual reality, we have to do it through a system that operates moving slowly, the observer staying almost stationary. The map itself is what moves through time and space that we then experience here in the virtual reality. So you can't have a snapshot of the entire creation of this virtual realm that we're in and have it all accurate, because it's only accurate to each local observer. Yeah, everybody has their own point and their own reality, and then that can be measured off of a coordinate system that can be then placed down onto any type of a projection that you want. As long as it adheres to a coordinate system, it will actually be very understandable, and we can share it with everybody. Now, moving back to the, interestingly enough, Jason, what you have on the screen here, I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, well, obviously I live rent free in some of these New World Order shills' heads. So they've got a meme of me where I was mocking the waka waka waka.
Waka waka waka.
Yeah, so the shills have always tried to say that the sun teleports like Pac-Man in our model, and we've said the entire time that no, the sun is not a physical object that's traveling above our heads and goes from side to side, but that Earth is a virtual reality that loops east and west. And so he goes through and he shows a bunch of different ideas people that have tried to come up with for ways to represent this. This is not that far off, everybody, because what this is showing is Earth with two poles. This is a stereographic view, not exactly the same scale as the coordinate system. I'll show you one that's exactly to scale.
Yeah, Antarctica is missing on that last one. This one has all of it.
Well, Antarctica, it's actually just a little overinflated. Where's that? Here. See how it's too big down here?
Yeah, it doesn't match.
Yeah, that's not real. But then he brings up, this would be the first, where'd it go?
Been before.
Was before here. So this is a stereographic map, and they try to say things like, "Oh, we say Earth has 3 poles." Well, anybody that can count can see that all 24 time zones come into the North Pole here, and 12 are coming on one side, 12 the other side. So it's just 24 are the time zones, the lines of longitude coming into the South Pole. But because it's stereographic, it's split on each side, and we didn't have the tool back then that we do now that you can reposition it to wherever you want to be centered. So right now, this projection is centered to about the France area right here. You see where France is in the center? Well, that creates this view. But if we were centered to the equator, it would look a lot more like the mole weed. All right, so this is something we've learned along the way, that if you take the coordinate system where it's 60 nautical miles per degree at the equator, And then at 10 degrees north, it's 59 nautical miles per degree, and then 56 and 52, and it gets smaller and smaller until you get to the North Pole, where it's a point. Remember that word point? Gets used again here. And then working to the south, this is the big thing about Earth being two poles. It comes to a point at the south as well. And so like you had mentioned, the straight line path on the equator, well, we have a straight line path on the equator because we're centered to the equator right now. If we were to center to a different location, then all of a sudden you would see that curve like we had before. But you can see that the mole weed is very close, very similar to the actual two-dimensional latitude and longitude system. So this is about the closest that we can display it, but this is all of Earth at one snapshot with the magnetic declination lines. Yeah. So you can see that there is a south magnetic pole, right, that is separate from the south celestial pole. If you were at this point right here, this is where you would see the sigma octans 90 degrees overhead. That would not be the case at the south magnetic pole. And then you can see the way the magnetic poles work in the north as well, and how much you have to adjust for magnetic declination. So we didn't play it, but Eric's big way to cover for the AE map model, the sunrise, sunsets not working is, oh, well, it could just be the magnetic declinations. Well, no, because we can actually show where on Earth those declinations need to be adjusted, where they don't need to be adjusted, and they're accurate. And yeah, so even when correcting for magnetic declination, we can prove that all the sunrises, sunsets are from the south of east to the south of west. So, yeah. And they went to Antarctica and showed 24-hour sun above the horizon, right? And that would be the South Pole right here. So we had a theory in the past that there might be some sort of north to south looping going on. But once we put the coordinate system to scale and centered it up, no, these are absolutely two very far away places from each other. Just about as far as you can be from each other on Earth, right?
We'll get into a further explanation of that another time. If you go back up to the moleweed again, I just want to point out that this is a representation of a flat Earth model. Just an idea, a concept, plotted out with the magnetic declination applied to it, the ways that you would adjust your compass, and still to have the area match what you can go up in a plane. Of course, you can't see on this map your local area, right? You still have to do a lot of adjustments. So you can't get a perfect snapshot of reality. Listen, the creator didn't make it so you could easily point out the boundaries. You could easily, because if that was the case, then the creation itself would cease to exist. It wouldn't function the way that it does. It had to be created in a limitless way. Right? What we're describing here, we just have the words. We're only at a point in time in creation where we're able to replicate things digitally, where we're starting to understand and use words like virtual reality. We're starting to learn more and understand higher levels of things. So the whole Cartesian, the maps, the cartography, all the different things, geometry, and all these studies, they're just, they're eternal studies. We're learning as we go eternally. And it's very interesting, Jason, everything that you've brought up so far tonight with this McToon. The one more thing to point out about that is there was one person that showed up into the show, into the chat, and that's YD getting her flowers again, telling them, why did you back out from the debate? Because they run around acting like they're all this and that. They completely agreed to our terms and then later said, no, they didn't agree to the terms. Right. And YD was there standing up and fighting for truth.
Yeah, that's spiritual warfare, everybody. It's going into a den of demons, and like it's like spraying the wasp spray into a hornet's nest. And we gotta say thank you so much for being the spiritual warrior that you are. we hope that it encourages other people to actually fight for the truth as well.
Amen.
All right, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about Nathan Oakley's new book. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
And we are back. And strange as it is, we're not doing this to cut up Nathan Oakley. We're doing this to be supportive of the fact that he is talking about a way geometrically that Earth's just plain measured flat. And then the globe is made from those measurements afterwards. And so he's got a book about it. Let's hear what he has to say. This is his promo a week ago, his announcement of the book.
Good news! You can now purchase a copy of Measured Flat, All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth by Nathan Oakley. Link is in the information box below this video. Also, if you did want to become an affiliate and sell the book, that is to say take 30% of the proceeds of any sales of the book, then you can do that also. There's been several people have already contacted me to suggest that they have contacted the publisher to join as an affiliate and obviously be given the promotional link so that they can put it below their videos or whatever it is they want to do with their link so that they can earn money from the book also. So if you did want...
So we are not going to be helping sell the book whatsoever. We're not going to try to make money off of it. Whatever Nathan makes off of the book is for him to make off of it. It's his career. He's decided that he wants to sell truth. We're against that, but to each their own on that topic.
Yeah,
want to become an affiliate?
Go ahead.
You could debate the topic about people that want to profit off what they do. And Jason and I, it's a hobby, it's a passion project. The truth. Anything online, YouTube. Nathan, this is what he does. He's made himself a career of being a public debate character who fights for flat Earth. And, you know, we'll easily show you how to get the book. We bought the book, so we've already supported him, and we hope the book is good. We're going to be, covering it more. We are going to be covering it more and hope to have him on. So, you know, I'm glad to see it's out. And if he wants to charge, I think it's $15 for the internet copy of the book. I mean, there's a lot worse things you can spend $15 on.
Yeah. Well, and it's so while we're supportive, we're not going to be without criticism of it where criticism is necessary. And somebody's already reviewed it and come out with criticism. This is Simon Dan. I read the worst flat book ever written. And unfortunately, Nathan, your very opening paragraph, this one right here, it sets a wrong tone. I'm not sure why you came out of the gate like this. Simon Dan points it out. It says, I was studying psychopaths late into the evening because I was trying to figure out why I had been embroiled in a tribunal with a former employer when a video by Art Horizon World, obviously a made-up name, came on my iPad and played automatically after the Lucky Guinness video about psychopathy I was watching had ended. I listened as a level of passion. So this is the opening intro to the book. If we go to the bookstore where it's being sold, that comes from the preview of the book right here. And I like the graphics here because to me this just screams virtual reality.
Yeah, those are vertices. That's a plane. You can see all the ways that they're, you know, projecting this into this space.
Yeah, and you even see the ones and zeros in the background over here, like the matrix code, right?
Yeah.
So I like that part of it, but Measured Flat, Nathan Oakley, and acknowledgement. And then, yeah, I was studying psychopaths. This is how the book opens. I just feel it was a weak opener. I would have liked to have seen that a little bit different. But the main point that Nathan has been banging on in his debate channel and now in this book is this right here. And that is the way the observers at the center of a circle of sight with an azimuth and an altitude. Let me bring up a larger version of this. And so some of the great things that Nathan's bringing up is all the words like elevation or altitude, right? These words are in reference to something off of a plane. All right. So just to say elevation angle, right? This right here is an elevation angle that a person gets between the flat line, right? Which is parallel with the sea level. We have a baseline in Earth that is called sea level, and things like eye level, right? Parallel line. This goes back to our geometry that we were talking about earlier. You have a point, right? And then you have a line, and then there's only one place where another parallel line goes through that. So if this observer was higher, eye level is a baseline that is parallel with sea level, right? The one that is created by the horizon in a person's circle of sight. So all the terms that Glober wants to use as far as, well, we have this elevation angle. Nathan Oakley stops him and, nope, that is flat earth terminology right there, because that angle comes from a baseline.
That's right.
This right here is the amount of degrees from a baseline. And so this works for any position within a person's circle of sight, because you have the full 360 degrees around, then you have the full 180 degrees that is above the surface of Earth, while the other 360 degrees, well, can't see that because Earth right here is the baseline.
That's right. And basically any observer, anyone that tries to bring up an argument for Earth's shape, and they try to use any measuring devices, the first thing you have to do is set up a perfectly parallel line, right? You have to level your device so that you can then start to measure these things in your view.
So these are the tools that we've been pointing to for so long now, that every single one of these tools is like Nathan is talking about, shows an observer at the center of a circle of sight, and that the luminaries are rotating around the observer tilted based on your latitude. So as I adjust the latitude right here, let me make this page a little bit smaller so you can see the map. So as I adjust, I can go a little bit further. As I adjust this latitude, you see what it does within the circle of sight? So once you get to the equator, right? Now all of a sudden the celestial equator is perpendicular with Earth. This is the reason that when you're at we're coming up on equinox, we're at September 18th. You're going to see each day this yellow line click closer to the equator. We're at September 20th now, one more day, and that yellow line is going to be lined up with the blue line. And this is your rise and set angle for an observer at the equator at an equinox. So this is creating the straight line shadows. It's a straight path. It's the 90 degrees overhead. And it's all coming from within inside a circle, not on the outside of a spinning ball. And we've shown this so many different ways. Try to keep it simple so that everybody, let's add a bunch of stars here, click animate. And yes, this graphic is literally showing that the stars are rising from the Earth at a person's, the extent of their circle of sight, and setting back into the Earth in their circle of sight. Every single tool that animates how the luminaries work in our circle of sight. And here, adjusting the latitude, here's the equator, and here's the southern plane. This is the southern celestial pole up here. Such a simple, easy graphic, but this is the way it works. We've shown it with tools like this, the Andrew Marsh, that, let's get a working map here. Hit play on this. And all these tools show the luminaries are circling around the observer, setting into a plane, right, and rising back out of that plane. You can animate the whole path so it doesn't jump just the daylight portion, and you're going to see following the same exact radius, following the same exact distance from the observer, and then it's going to come around. And there's your sunrise. Now, of course, this is a god-like view, right? Nobody can see the luminary rotating around an observer from an outside perspective like this. We are locked into the first-person view, like we are at the center of this model down here and watching this path, right? So all those angles, in order for them to work, the only way it can work is if the luminary actually rises and sets from Earth in your circle of sight. And so that's one of the things that we do is we've taken it past just using the flat language. We've actually taken it to showing people the models that are accurate to 100th of a degree per second. That model that you were just looking at is accurate to 100th of a degree per second. So, yes, a flat stationary Earth does have a model, and that is what we promote. But you know, kudos to guys like Nathan Oakley, who are fighting in the face of spinning space ballers and letting people know that Earth is measured flat, and that all of the measurements are coming from a flat stationary plane that doesn't have any baseline change to it ever, right? The Globers want to say that you're out here and that there's a tangent coming from the center of Earth, and that tangent, you can just rotate it around here where it's level, it's level, it's level. But level can't be a circle.
It can't deviate from level. It has to be parallel to a measuring marker, a baseline.
Has to be parallel to the plane, a baseline. And that baseline does not get changed on any of these measurements. So, what else would you like to say about Nathan's book coming out?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to flip through it, everybody. We're going to be doing that. We'll be going through it. We'll be giving our opinions on everything. We're going to dedicate a serious amount of time to it. It's actually some positive flat Earth content, if you can believe it. I can't believe that somebody's actually done something, and it most likely seems to have a very beneficial use. It can lift up people and teach some interesting things. We'll take the good from it, leave the bad if there is any. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but again, that's Nathan Oakley 1980, all one word. You can find his channel and you can order the book from his video. That's NATHANOAKLEY 1980. Go there, read the book. It's $15. Most computers, you can use an app. It'll just automatically open the book up. And it's going to be great. We're going to be going through it. So if you're going to be on this channel, you should probably read the book. I don't know at what level.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get Nathan Oakley to come on and talk about his book and Measured Flat, and just pick his brain on a few things non-confrontationally. But you know, it's one thing to say the Earth is measured flat, and then what's the next thing is, how do you explain the southern star rotation to Globers? So we'll see if Nathan is willing to bite off some more.
Sure.
And maybe write another book, right?
Yeah, well, we'll look at the content. You got to flip through it and see the different chapters, and you'll get an understanding. Is he still pushing things that we disagree with? What he pushes is what he pushes. What we push is what we push. And we're going to always try to communicate with everybody, whether you like us, hate us, whatever it is. Oh, they're those, they believe the creator of the Bible, whatever it is. We're just after what's true, observable. And that's what we do here for fun. So yeah, there's not too much more for me to bring up. Just it's super nice to be here. Thank you to YD, the moderator in the chat, and the spiritual warrior out there fighting back against McToon. And the Goldsmith, always doing a great job keeping the content coming, the news, the music. We will have, after the noise or a morning show at some point coming up on my channel. Stay tuned. We've been busy. We're going to still be busy, but we're definitely watching. It's been a pretty mild Summer, we're going to have to talk about gas prices and things in the future and things that they're, projecting at another time. I thought tonight was a great, step back into the flat earth realm and start discussing these things. Anybody that's tuned in tonight, I appreciate you. If you have any questions or anything like that, absolutely in the comment section where barely anybody ever goes. You can have amazing conversations down there, especially with Jason. I'm down there too. Anyone else that's tuned in, share your thoughts, share your feelings. Maybe you have questions for Nathan. Maybe you have questions for Eric or Jake the asshole or any of these guys. Let us know what you think.
All right. Well, we're only 2 hours away from a August 8th anniversary. So before we go, I wish you a happy birthday, brother. Anything else?
Oh, that's it. Everybody take care.
All right. Where's the only place people are going to get this content?
Only on the Hawashai News Networks.
Wake up, sleep out, get up off the ground. You know how I am. I'll be just hanging around, around, around. Hanging around, around, around. Tape on, slow down, midday stepping out. I'll write the words, the tune I'm humming about, humming about. Even if it's over, I'll be okay. Tried to push it down now. Trust me, I've been chipping away like a band that can't catch a break. Even if it's over, even if it's over, I'm still hanging around, round, round. Hanging around, round, round. Fuck off, lay down.